live if you are following along for the challenge. Hopefully you're going to join in if you haven't already started your own challenge. Now, for me, this 30-day sprint is about getting 2,000 Australian artisans on the waitlist for Made It so that they can sell their creations on Made It. Doors are closed right now and we're going to be opening in middle of June. So I've got until the 13th of June to get there. Well, I've got 25 days, right? That's the whole mission of this. But to give you a bit of an update on where we're at, I've just checked the waitlist and we have 441 on the waitlist, which I am absolutely ecstatic about. We've got a long way to go to get to that 2,000, but it is absolutely giving me the faith and the belief and knowing that we're going to get to that number. So I hope you're going to join along, and I hope that you create your own personal 30-day sprint. We've got lots of artisans who've joined and they're all creating very different ones actually. I know Kelly from Toucan Art Factory, she's doing a meditation and mindfulness challenge. We've got Brona from Lanua Crafts, who is doing one to feature other handmade artisans throughout the 30-day challenge. I love that. Michelle is doing drawing. Janelle is doing posting and sharing content. So many different things happening. And a lot of it is being shared over on Instagram as well. And I'm live every day at 9 a.m. over on Instagram. And today I made the commitment that I'm going to be doing these YouTube lives at a set time as well, so that you can keep joining in and just get that burst of accountability and connection that you may just need to get through the 30-day sprint as well. So the time is going to be 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, that is not the time today. I'm going to start it from tomorrow when I can actually put it in my calendar as well. If it's not in the Google Calendar, it literally doesn't have the time blocked out. But that's going to be the spot. And of course, you can always watch it later. There's no issue with that at all. But maybe you just want that little burst of energetic connection in order to get you to your goals. Now, for me, being a Sunday, it's actually really important that this day continue to be a day where it's offline, off the computer, right? And it's actually pretty challenging for me to stay off the computer. I love what we're building over at Made It. It literally feels like it's my dharma, my purpose, and what I'm meant to be doing. And that feeds in really well to what the messaging was for today as well. And the messaging that came through for me, which may be helpful for you, but is to trust. Trust that you're on the right path. Trust that you're exactly where you're meant to be, and trust that everything that is happening around you is not happening to you, it's happening for you. Now, I know you might have heard that before, but it's really real. And I want to give you a couple of contexts as well, which might help you. They definitely help me. I know when I get these reminders, I'm like, yes, I forgot. Because no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, but we can go through those states where it's like we're doing the thing, and then we forget that everything is exactly how it's meant to be. Everything is panning out how it's meant to be. If things don't happen that you were hoping for, it's because it wasn't meant to happen that way. And just trust that something better is coming along the path. Now, on this idea of trust, it's really interesting because I think we've got two options in life, right? When we're doing anything. So in your handmade artisan business, right? You have a choice to decide when anything pops up, right? You can either see it as, like, let's say if it's something that isn't quite what you wanted, right? You can see it as a challenge, or you can see it as a benefit. Like, that's really the only two ways for you to look at. And what if every time a challenge came up, or every time something was not quite how you thought it would pan out, or perhaps you're feeling a little bit shaken, I guess, in your confidence or knowing, what if you decided to trust that everything is just happening as it should be? Do you think that you would be able to look at everything in a little bit of a lighter weight and a little bit of a lighter angle as well? So one of the sayings that really dropped in for me today when I was outside painting, I've got paint all over my hands, but outside painting a community library that I'm building. So I've wanted one for ages. I love reading, and I love the idea of creating this magical box that's, just roll with me for a minute, right? This magical box that sits out the front of my house that connects with my neighbors, but in particular connects me with like minds who are in my street, or in the few streets that we're kind of like off, kind of in a cul-de-sac sort of thing, but there's a few streets What if I was able to connect in a way through this magic box with all of the like minds that live in this little area? And I've got all of these ideas rushing, going, oh, I'm going to put only amazing books in the box. Because I had a couple of people say to me, oh, you might be able to get old books from the library and da da da. And I was like, yeah, I could do. Or I could fill this magical library, this magical community space outside my house on my property with books that were like the best books. Like, what if I committed to only putting the very best books in there, and I can put up some stuff in there that says, hey, pop in this box your favorite book. And then also, after you've read a book, that if you loved it, bring it back and give it to someone else as well. Jason's saying we have those book boxes all over Warwick. They're a work of art. Yes. So that's part of my other idea, Jason, is that I'm going to do some, like, paint the outside of it and really make it inviting for others to come and join it and get involved in it. In the back of my head, I'm thinking I'm going to create a landing page for it as well, where people can come and see what it's all about just from a QR code. And then it dawned on me, I had this thought of, the statement that says, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I've always sort of thought about that statement and gone, what's the context and how does this land? And I was like, oh my goodness, everything that I'm trying to build with Made It, building community, connecting like minds, bringing us all together, in through this one magical box, which is called Made It. And then I was like, and I'm standing out on the street and I'm painting this community library, which Jeff has built for me, bless him, and painting it and going, I'm standing here on a Sunday, painting this box, and the book that I'm listening to, the audio book. And of course, Jeff's laughing at this as well. He's like, what are you listening to? I'm like, Advanced Magic. Like, How to Do Advanced Magic is the audio book that I've got in my ears. And I was like, oh my goodness, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So in this 30-day sprint, I am realizing how true that is, and how, for me, when I'm showing up, whether it's on Instagram Live or whether it's here on YouTube Live, and I'll be honest, and I don't use this word very often, and I'm going to change it straight away, but I found YouTube pretty challenging in order to be able to grow it and really get traction. And I don't know if these lives will even be the key to unlock it. But what I do know is that I'm showing up daily on the platform, and I've learned more about YouTube in the last 5 days than I have probably in the last month. Because in the last month prior to that, I was just getting complacent and I was just getting like, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. Instead of stopping myself and going, ooh, what if I trusted that there's a reason it wasn't growing? What if I trusted that actually in the space of it not growing, it's forcing me to level up, gain my skills, gain my knowledge, and go to the next step? What if this is all part of the plan of the universe in order for me to be exactly where I am right now? Now, that doesn't mean that this is the point, right? That this is actually the total key unlock. And I'm going to share more about the community library, about something else that dropped in. And can you relate to this? Can you relate that when you're crafting, when you're making, do you find that all of these other ideas drop in? It's like almost a meditative state where when you're in that moment of bliss of creating, it allows all of the other ideas to come in and tune in. Anyway, so one of the ideas I had, right, was like going, what if this community library, if we're talking about it creating community and we're talking about it creating connection and like minds, what else could it have? And then I was like, would it have a notice board? Like, would it have a notice board, or would we have a system where if someone wanted to put something inside the box to let the other neighbors know, and it's all of like minds, because the only people that are going to open the magic box, right, are those that are interested in the reading, in the connecting, even unknowingly, right? And then I went to, what if Made It had a notice board? And what I mean by that is that what if we had a notice board for all of the in-person handmade markets that were happening around the country? What if we had a notice board for all of your workshops that you might be running in person, right? Let's say, Jason, you might be running a workshop on how to create Vikings or how to work with wood. And what if we had a system and made it where if you're a Made It member, you can upload what you've got happening that weekend, and we create like a virtual digital board of everything that's happening around the country, and it could be filtered by state, by city, by date, and by time. And then all of a sudden, we're creating this huge connection space within Handmade. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So, what are you noticing on your 30-day challenge? Are you noticing anything that's landing? I'd love to hear where you're at and to find out whether you have had any of those aha moments drop in. Now, in the Instagram Live this morning, I said that I was going to share with you some of the vision stuff that I've worked on, and that at the time, because this is part of doing advanced magic, where people thought I was crazy, right? But I managed to make it work. So these are two things that I wanted to share with you. One of the first ones was I used to have friends would say to me, friends or customers or whatever, would say, did you ever dream that you'd build your fashion brand to the size that you did? And I was like, what do you mean? I was always this size. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, even when I was sewing in my garage, sewing samples at 4 in the morning before a photo shoot, because I'm an early bird, not from the night before, but get up at 4 a.m., be sewing those dresses, getting them done. I was sitting there imagining myself walking into the sample area where the machinist would be that would be working and developing the styles that I'd designed, and be talking about the prints that I'd made and the designs that I'd made. And I was already operating in a full fashion house, if that makes sense. And so that was the scenario that was playing through in my mind. So it was right from the beginning. So right from the beginning, I already acted as if that was happening. Now, the second one that I'll never forget, my business partner actually found it, and I wish that I had kept this piece of paper. I had notebooks. I have notebooks everywhere. Like, anyone who knows me knows that you can go into my cupboards and there's hundreds of notebooks of ideas and dreams and visions and evidence and proof and all the things, right? But one that I had was that we are turning, or I am turning over $10 million with 2 stockists. Now, at the time, it was like, that is outrageous. How is that even possible? It was in a time where we were doing wholesale, which I always thought was a really interesting model. It's definitely got a tool, it's definitely got its benefits, but gee, it's also super challenging. And anyway, and I had this going, we're turning over $10 million and we have 2 stockists. And I remember my business partner going, that's ridiculous. And she wasn't saying it in a negative way, but just like, I guess it was, oh, Lena's going off on again on one of her tangents. And what do you know? Where did we get to? Right? Just as I was about to exit the business. So on the one hand, I'm also mindful to make sure that I'm not putting in place things that are finite, that I'm now starting to work on dreams and visions of things that give space for infinite growth, infinite expansion, in whichever way it's meant to go, right? So now this is probably opposite to that, but one of the visions that's dropped in for me with Made It though, is that I actually have had the idea of what if Made It is capped at the number of artisans that we have. Now, that would obviously be much bigger than where we're at, because what we're doing is we're building an incredible network across Australia of handmade artisans, and it's important that that growth piece is in it in order for it to gain traction and to really work, and to bring the customers to the platform that you want as well, to be able to sell to buy your handmade creations, right? But I was like, what if it's capped? And what if we say, we're not trying to be the biggest platform. We are going to be the biggest platform in Australia, that's a given. But what if we're not trying to be the biggest platform full stop? What if our focus is about being the most connected? If our vision is to be the most connected and to maintain being the most connected, what is it that we're creating in order to get there? Anyway, my brain is exploding. I love how when I take this time to reset and re-energize, that it's just like poof, 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 poof. Anyway, now I think that's about all that we've got to get through. We are about to do our massive tech upgrade for the existing Made It members tomorrow, and it's happening in the middle of the night on Monday. That's how tech upgrades work. But it's really interesting. If you'd asked me last week how I was feeling about it, and I would have said nervous, excited. They're the same feeling, right? But now what I'm realizing is that I'm feeling purely excited because we have all the right people in place with all of the skills and knowledge to ensure that everything goes smoothly. And we have the incredible community, you, behind us, excited for these upgrades. So based on the energy of what if you see everything in a positive light and know that everything is happening for you, that means that everything will happen exactly as it's meant to be. So I'm feeling very calm. Anyway, I'm going to go back and I'm going to get those top coats on the community library so that I can open it up and get it started. I'd love to hear how you're going on the 30-day challenge. I want to hear what's come up for you. And if you haven't started, start today, day 25. Do 25-day countdown and see what you can create by turning up every single day with consistency. Have an awesome Sunday afternoon, and I'll talk to you soon.